Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is finally Friday, August 16th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Now, a very special guest today. We did our very first interview, I want to say back in 2021 or 2022, but it is so great to have him back here in the doll house with us, Fashion Dolls. He is a pro wrestler and artist, all the way overseas, Fashion Dolls. So, here to make his second debut here in the dollhouse, Michael Finn. Uh-oh, it booted Mike out. Let me try to add. Right. That is odd because I just sent the invite. Also, make sure that your app is up to date, Michael. Okay, one sec. Okay, let me try now. I think we're both pressing at the same time. So let me see. Hopefully, it should work this time. That is so strange. That's crazy. It says you're unable to join. Let me try now. There we
There
are.
we go. My apologies. I had to go into the settings and unmute my microphone. That's why it didn't work. But I'm here now. How's it going,
Well,
Miss Stevie?
wonderful. How are you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm good. Just chilling right now. Been looking forward all day to this interview. When was the last time we spoke? Was that in 2021, 2020?
I just said that when I was introducing you. I said we did our very first interview in 2021. This was around the time the pandemic was still going on.
Yeah,
And I can't remember what I wore in the interview. I kept it very simple. It was a black t-shirt, and we were talking about your wrestling career and your music as well too. We are
right.
now in 2024. So before we kick this interview off to catch up with you on what you've been up to, how has 2024 been for you so far?
So far, so good. So since the last time we spoke, I ended up becoming a full-time actor. I got a part in this theater play from like 2022, and the contract just recently expired. So the play is now over, but like I'm still trying to see how I can try and dabble within like the theater slash. I'm trying to see if I can like slowly but surely get into film more and more.
Yeah.
But like since our last interview, I became a full-time actor, and I took a small hiatus from pro wrestling, and then I came back a year later. And then as far as the music goes, I've been constantly just working on new music. I'd say around the time we met was just around like I've been rapping since I was like 14, 15 years old, and now I just turned 30 in February, by the way. And I'd say like within the last couple of years, around the time where we met was around the time where I probably started like taking the marketing a bit more serious as far as like the music goes and marketing myself and stuff like that. So since then, apart from like working on like the actual music, I've just been trying to like grow my fan base, not only on IG and Facebook and social media as a whole, but mainly like Facebook and Instagram. I've been trying to like, collect emails and try and own like data as far as like my fan base goes. So if like I don't think IG or Facebook are gonna go anywhere anytime soon, but like, you know, I especially with the way the algorithm is these days, I want to make
Okay.
sure I have like their emails so that I can like, reach out to my fans and I'm hoping to see if I can like through my through email marketing, I can like begin to sell merch and you know, build a more like direct to consumer. I'm not gonna leave streaming, although I've like kind of um I wouldn't say quit. I need to choose my words carefully because I wouldn't say I quit streaming, but like I'm gonna be uploading my songs on streaming services more less often and try and have a more direct to consumer, business going on. So that's what I've been working on since we last spoke. I know it's a bit of a long winded answer, but I hope that all kind of made sense.
No, not at all. And you still have support. I'm looking in the comments right now. We got Ozzy Miller Wrestler says hashtag bless.
Yeah,
And
that's my
Nicholas
boy.
by Nicholas Finn says, hey Michael.
Yeah. So Nicholas is actually, he is, to make a long story short, he is, my mom and his mom are cousins. So I guess, I don't know what the word, like, but like we're related. And Ozzy Miller is a professional wrestler out of Sweden. And, he's a cool guy. So yeah. So shout out to Ozzy and Nicholas.
Now I'm gonna go to the music for a minute because you said you've been trying to get out here, get your music out here, and get in touch with your fans so that you can give them merch and things like that. Uh, Collectively, because I had another artist on yesterday,
Yeah.
Vontae,
Yeah.
and he was talking about what it's like being an independent artist. And I'm pretty sure you go and you produce and write your own music,
Yep.
which we talked about in the very first interview. What are some pointers that you would give to other independent artists out here? Because we're now seeing artists saying, okay, I don't want to sign with the label. I would rather produce and know that I have my whole hands in this input of producing this album or this single.
Right. So I'm not sure if I'm really in a position to like kind of give that type of advice to anyone, but if I should like give some sort of advice apart from like, the whole be consistent post content kind of thing, because truth be told, like sometimes posting content, I probably shouldn't say this because I should be like, yay, I love posting content and, shit, but like, it, I don't always enjoy it. Sometimes I do, like when it's just videos of me rapping and shit. I do, but like there are days where I feel like I just have to, you know, post shit for the sake of posting shit. But with all that being said, that's just the climate of the independent industry, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because uh, you know, opposed to like 20 years ago, you had to and I'm obviously not speaking from experience because I've never been signed or anything like that, but like I'd say opposed to like 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, you had to like be with a label to reach a certain level of exposure as far as like a big platform goes.
Yes.
Whereas now, you if you utilize and learn how to market yourself properly, and if you you know find a niche, I guess, like some people, they tend to like market towards a specific niche, then social media is the way to go. Like social media has given so many independent artists a career, whereas maybe like 20, 25 years ago it wasn't even like a thought in their mind to like, I mean, there has
Absolutely.
been like one of my favorite rappers is Tech 9, and he's been independent, for I don't know how long. But like he did it pre social media, but it was a lot. I'd assume it was a lot tougher back then because the internet was around, but it wasn't. It isn't what it is now. Back then, So I'd say, just believe in yourself, but take things one day at a time. And this is something that I had to like kind of tell myself, because around the time where we met, maybe like a year or two prior, like when I think when we met, I was like, was it 2021? I was like 27 at the time. And
Yeah.
when I became, this is like the first time I'm saying this publicly, by the way, when I turned 25, I was like, oh shit, time is ticking. Not in the sense like I was thinking like I need to make it, but not at that point. I wasn't like I need to get a record deal, because at that point I was like, I'm just gonna try and do it independently. But I was like, I need to make it in the sense that I need to like be someone and make a full time living of this, music thing by the time I'm 30 years old. And now I turned 30, so now I'm just taking things one step at a time. And I feel like when I'm not stressing over things, but I'm also being consistent and at my pace, and I'm focusing on the right things. And, which is subjective for me, the right things is building a fan base on social media, and then, nurturing them to the point where I get their email addresses and I can like, sell to them without being too salesy. Those are my goals. But for someone else, it could be they still want to get signed. But I just say, as far as like the age thing goes, there's no need to like, in music, in hip hop in particular, there's always been like and maybe in pop music too, but like in hip hop, there's always been the whole, oh shit, so and so is too old to rap now. They need to retire. And I don't understand why that is, because when you look at other genres like rock music, for example, there's I could be wrong, because I listen to some rock music, but I'm not, within that, circle. But I feel like within rock music, for example, there's not the whole, oh, who should I use as an example? ACDC or old heads, they need to retire. That doesn't exist in their genre. But for some reason in hip hop, that exists. And I feel like just ignore it, and, do things at your pace, and then, you know, trust the timing of your life, I guess. So yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say 100% what you just said, which is ageism. And the artist that I interviewed yesterday, Vontae, is here.
Yeah.
He's in the comments, so make sure you guys show him some
What up,
love.
Vontae?
His EP drops September 13th, and the title is called "Got
Right.
Love." So make sure you guys please go and pre-order. Great conversation. Now I had to go step to the side for a minute and grab two of the soundtracks of my life. And I told you guys yesterday that The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is one of my favorite albums. Like, this is one of the Billboard's 100's most greatest albums, along with Michael Jackson's Thriller album. And she just recently got awarded for this. So, behind this masterpiece of an album right here, she had a whole team. And if I'm not mistaken, Lauryn Hill, I think she was signed with what? Columbia
I
Records?
think
Let me see.
Yeah, I think she
Rough
was. Oh,
House,
Rough House.
Columbia Records, Rough House.
Right.
That is a label. And I make the stark comparison between signing with a label. See, she had full creative control in this album too, but when you're under a label, sometimes that doesn't work with some artists all the time. And I tell you that because you have to go by what their vision is. Whereas doing it independently, you have full range and creative control over what you want your look to look like, because every album has to have a theme. I can give you another one. Beyonce, when she gave us the Renaissance album, what was the theme? It was disco electronica, or
Yeah.
it was more so house, or R&B, shall I say, or techno.
Right.
It was a combination of all of these things. You just couldn't put a label on it. But she stuck to that same lane versus her past works of art, which is Dangerously in Love, or the self-titled Beyonce
Yeah.
album, or
Yeah.
B-Day, or any other album that she has dropped, is consistent with every single project that every single artist drops out. Another one of my guests, Stephen Littles, worked on this album, and it is the Mary J. Blige My Life album. And I
Oh,
told you
wow.
guys how this album has gotten me through some dark times. Mary was on it with this one, and I think Mary was signed to MCA Uptown Records.
Yeah.
Rest in grace to Andre Harrell. she had a whole team working behind her, and one of those team members I've had the pleasure of interviewing on this show, and it's Stephen Littles. So the black and white, the smile that you see her on the cover with, Stephen Littles is behind that team and making sure that he brought her vision to life. And this
Right.
is what you get. Right. So this is another best-selling album. They had teams working behind them versus being an independent artist. I'm independent. I'm not signed to no label or anything. I'm not an artist. I'm a what you would call it, a fashion influencer, or in a way like a journalist or a news reporter,
Yeah.
because I don't work under a network. I don't work under ABC, NBC. I'm independent, so I have full range and creative control. But I still have to be careful at the end of the day on my end as a platform host to make sure that I give people the
Right.
truth. So see, when you're doing things independently, you have full range and creative control. Every
Yep.
single season that I've came out consecutively, and I think when we did ours, it was in 2021. So I want to say that would have been season 14, way back when.
Okay.
Every season consecutively, I try to make sure that I stay ahead of the fashion trend. I stay ahead of the news trend. Give people the news and not do it the way corporate media like a Fox News or CNN or any other news
Right.
outlet would. When you're doing it independently, you have to make sure that you dot every I, cross every T. And I make sure that I research every topic thoroughly before I report it to the people. So I make that
Right.
compare and contrast because if anybody that is an independent artist wants to go sign to a label, make sure you read the fine print.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what happened with so many artists, and me and Vontae touched on this yesterday with TLC. We've seen what happened with
You
TLC
know,
in the bad
as you were
label
speaking, I was
contract.
just thinking about. I saw a video not too long ago. It's probably like when I say not too long ago, I mean like a year ago. But I saw this video, and they were I forget what year it was. I believe it was the same year where Scrubs had either like been out for it just came out or it's been out
Yeah.
for like a year at this point, and they won a what award? It doesn't matter. They won an award and they were on stage and they were talking about we sold this many records, we did this and that, and we are broke. And yeah, I
Crazy
will I
Sexy
will
Cool.
say this though,
That's the album,
right?
Crazy Sexy Cool. And they generated, I said this yesterday on the show,
Yeah,
$75 million. Each woman in the group should have been paid equally their fair share. But it was the record label that was doing crooked things behind the scenes that didn't make that happen and possible.
right,
And I told the story on how the girls literally had to go and set it off. We seen the movie Set It Off with Queen Latifah. The girls came in the record company, Arista, and held them guns, the whole shebang. Yes, in real
yeah,
time. And Left Eye was in the diversion center for, of course, burning down the house. So when they went in there, they went to go see Clive Davis. We know Clive Davis is big for Brandy, Monica,
yeah,
one of my favorite singers. We just recently celebrated her birthday, Whitney Houston. So he is the man responsible for these women with amazing voices. Deborah Cox is another one too.
yeah,
So they had to go and talk to Clive. They were saying, giving them to go around and say, you need to go check with this person and this person. Well, who has the money? That was the question. Because we're doing all of this work, we're touring, we're generating all of these album sales and revenue. Where is our cut? And Left Eye broke it down like you should have this much to pay your bills with and to buy your everyday expenses,
right,
your household items
right,
and things like that, your car payment, your phone bill, whatever. That's one point that she made. So when
yeah,
she broke it down in that clip that we see going viral, that's a thing.
yeah. I will say real quick, like I do have friends who work um I do have friends who work like within the industry. They don't I don't have friends who work within like labels, but I have
Yeah.
friends who work with people around them. And I've spoken to people who work, with labels and stuff. And I will say like I can only speak with, like for how things are these days. Like I also wanted like just, you know, point out like not to you, Miss Stevie, but just generally speaking, not all of
Yeah.
them are like
Yeah.
demons in
It's not
disguise.
every. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is a business, and I would be lying if I said if I like I've never been offered um a label contract or nothing like that. But like if I was and like they were like dangling the carrot in front of me, I would be lying. I'd be lying if I said that I wouldn't consider it. I mean, I don't feel like I'm in a position right now mentally where I'd, just especially knowing I don't pretend to know everything about the music industry because I don't.
Yeah.
I learn every day. But like if the contract and the language within the contract made sense to me, I would absolutely consider it. But like with that being said, like 10 years ago, I probably would have just signed straight away because a lot of people, unfortunately, too, like a lot of rappers, they don't understand like the money. And again, generally speaking, because every contract is different, but
Yeah.
like usually the money, which is an advance, they don't understand what an advance is. They think that money is for them to keep. They don't understand because the label may or may not,
And you got to pay it right back to
they
that
need, yeah, the
label so
label
they
needs
get
to
press,
recoup.
the record albums,
Yeah,
sales, all of this that goes into
yeah,
it.
but like,
And it's so,
yeah,
yeah.
but like
MC Hammer
the
is another one.
right, but the music industry these days, maybe like I feel like they're in a tricky spot right now. Because you see these major artists, cancel their concerts left and right
Yes.
because I don't know if it's inflation or if it's just, this might be an unpopular opinion, but like a lot of these rappers these days, the shows, they're just not it. Like they walk around with a whole entourage in the background, and they probably rap every fifth word, and they have like the backup vocals, doing the rest of the work. But I digress. But like the point is, like at the end of the day, it is a business, and even though it's not my goal to get signed. My goal is to make this a full-time living, a comfortable full-time living
Yes.
at that. And then I'll take things from there. Like I spoke to you, like when we spoke last time, I spoke to you about like how when I was a teenager, my goal, I always, I always like, my goal was like to do like Madison Square Garden. I remember mentioning that. Whereas now, I'm just taking things one day at a time because I feel like in the music industry, and I always use this example with when I bring this up with friends and stuff because they like to music is very subjective. So it's not like if I like hypothetically if if I should win like an award over whoever, it doesn't necessarily make me a better artist than that person. Whereas if you're a boxer or UFC fighter and you become the champion, it is a known fact that you are number one in music. And also, the point I'm trying to make is it's kind of within your control. If you win a Grammy or an MTV Music Award, whatever, it's kind of out of your control. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I was gonna say the fans vote for who wins, but maybe they whatever. Um, but at the end of the day, like what makes you successful in music, in my opinion, is if you can put food on the table and earn
Yeah.
money doing this like comfortably without having to worry about you know shit. I need to pay. I need to recoup so I can pay my label.
That,
Yeah,
I've heard artists say that. Now, Meg Thee Stallion, who's one of my favorite female rappers, and
right,
you guys know I'm a hottie, she got a Warner Music distribution deal, which is great.
right.
Now, it says that she and Warner Music Group announced that an innovative agreement to enable her to maintain independence while working with the major
Wait,
music companies' global
recently,
resources.
recently.
This right here happened back in February of this year,
Oh, okay.
February 2nd, 2024. That
All
is
right.
incredible.
Yeah.
And that means that she has full creative control over each, like I said, with each artist, like and I referenced Mary J.
Right.
Blige. Each album that she's came out with, she's had changed her looks. The sound is different. It's more R&B than the other album. Like each sound for each album should be different. Beyonce is another one. Like I
Agreed.
said, every album is not going to be the same. That means if you're going in and you have full range and creative control, that
Yeah.
says, okay, I want my look to look like this. I want my sound to sound like this. I want rock. I want to infuse it with
Yeah.
hip hop. I want to infuse it with pop. I want to infuse it with jazz. I want to infuse it with all of these different genres of music. And I know what I want my look to be. Now, she's toured all over the world. She's been touring throughout
Oh
the
yeah.
summer
Yeah.
and killing it on stage.
Yeah.
And with a lot of hip hop artists out here, I'm going to go back to Tupac because Tupac touched on this before he passed away as well too about how the music industry was and how the music business was and
Yeah.
how fickle it is with
Oh
people making sure that you sign. Another artist that has spoken out about starting your own label, going off and being independent, he did it,
yeah.
and God bless his soul, Prince was one who did that. That's something
He
that
was
he
way
solely
ahead of his time
yes
as far as the whole
has music
independence.
in the
Yeah.
vaults, Michael, that
Yeah.
people don't even know about. So if anybody tries to get a hold of that music, you're going to have to go through what? Paisley Park Entertainment. The
Right.
same with Beyonce, Parkwood Entertainment.
Yeah.
So when you are signed with that label, it's like, okay, we're going to have to, like you said, redistribute that money back and recoup that money back to the industry.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit, I know a little bit about the music business, but I stick to fashion and in my lane. And I've talked to so many artists and they've broke it down to me. So that's how I understand and I know. I watch and I read a lot. And how if you want to learn more about the music business, there are so many books out here that can help you. There's Behind the Music. Now
Right.
they don't make that anymore. There's what? Unsung, or what's the other show? Uncensored. There's so many out here that can help us be on top of our game if you're looking to be an independent artist. But them Warner Music Group offering her a major deal, and she
Yeah.
still has independence to do whatever she pleases with looks, what she wants her sound to sound like. She has that
Right.
input, which is what a lot of artists, I couldn't get it out. A lot of artists want it when it comes to creating their music. They want
Yeah.
control over it. They want
Yeah.
to be involved in the process. Whereas if you're sometimes under a label, you have to go by their rules. And I think for TLC, after Fan Mail was what 3D, the 3D album. I remember T-Boz, she sat down with Cam Newton, and she was saying, if you don't agree to doing an album, the album will come out all willy nilly. She said the cover was very dark because they wore black on the cover.
Yeah.
Whereas the Fan Mail album, they had an input. Whereas the Ooh on the TLC Tip album, they had input.
Yeah.
Crazy Sexy Cool, they had input. 3D, it was just after Left Eye passed away, it was like, okay, what direction are we going in? We just gonna work on something, and the album came out
Yeah.
all willy nilly.
When did she
So
pass away again?
Left
Was it 02,
Left
01?
Eye passed in 2002.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so 22 years ago. I mean, the whole Megan Thee Stallion deal that you were talking about just now is a prime example of like a a good major label deal.
Yeah,
But
that is a
also like
blessing.
I'd say like these days, like with the whole social media, being as big as it is, I don't think she would have gone independent anyway because I feel like I remember when Drake when it was this was probably like 2 3 years ago when people was talk there were rumors that Drake his deal with Universal was coming up and he might go independent, but like at this point I feel like when you reach like a certain level of fame and you're used to like having the big machine behind you, I don't. I mean, sound like going independent might sound easy to some, but like those people who are like, oh, Drake should go independent. I don't feel like they fully understand the machine that's behind. Like Drake is not just an artist. Like he's pretty much a brand, just in the same way that Nike and Adidas are brands. And like Megan Thee Stallion and Drake, they're two examples of if you sell well, because let's be honest, like if they sold, shit, they wouldn't give them that kind of deal. But because Megan Thee Stallion, she's a superstar, she looks good, she raps well, she has a huge fan base, she sells well, streams well, then of course they're gonna like want to keep her around, and then she has some leverage, where like because I feel like I don't know, like when did the TLC ever like get leverage as far as like, because I'd admit like I don't know too much about TLC's history other than the whole, you know, feud they kind of had in the beginning with their label and stuff. But did it take them a while to like kind of get some leverage as far as like, did
Absolutely,
it
because the
right,
girls they had to file bankruptcy. I remember they also had to ask Andre Rison, who Left Eye was dating at the time,
right?
to get their money so that he loaned them money so that they could file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Oh, okay,
And that happens in this business. Remember, I mentioned MC Hammer, and then it happened to Tony Braxton. So many artists have had this situation
yeah,
where they've lost it all and they've had to kind of regroup
yeah,
and recoup all of their money back to the
yeah.
record label as well.
And like for those who like say, um, I'll admit I was once one of those people who say like, oh shit, 20 years ago, like back in the 90s, the music industry was so much better because it was before social media. They failed to understand like if social media was popping back then like it is now, like they like TLC, Vanilla Ice, whoever probably wouldn't have, been in the situation they were in. I wouldn't say like that for sure, but like I feel like social media kind of helps as far as like, leverage goes these days. Like I believe like Tupac, he died broke. I could be wrong, but I heard like I saw an interview like from like 97, like right after he died, where Afeni Shakur was like he died broke and Suge Knight essentially fucked him over. Oh, but can I cuss by the way? Okay, I'll just
Yes,
check.
that is true.
Sorry.
I remember that
But
interview.
yeah, so a lot of these, artists that are not as rich as people may think they are. I mean, they're not broke in the sense that they need to work a 9 to 5, most of them, but they're also not, Elon Musk rich, if that makes sense. So
And
yeah, I don't know. Just kind of, be careful. You know, study the industry and like constantly because I feel like the industry is constantly, changing within a blink of an eye, something like changes, the algorithm changes, trends they change constantly. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in the fashion industry. Am I right? Yeah.
absolutely, fashion trends don't stay the same. Every day is something new coming out in the fashion world.
Right,
So I
right.
always have to make sure that I'm on top of what's coming out and what's on trend
Yeah.
because fashion trends surely change. They change a lot. And then
Yeah.
we have New York Fashion Week, which will be right around the corner coming up pretty soon. So
Oh,
that
okay. Like this month, like by the end of the month or next month?
I'm assuming next month because they Vogue always drops the big thick issues that you guys see those
Yeah.
issues typically tend to have at least 800 pages, I want to say.
Right.
So they start putting out all of their sponsors, Mercedes Benz, and you're flipping through. So it's happening. It could be next month.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. Um, yeah, so, just stay consistent without trying to like stress yourself out. Again, like I don't feel like I'm in a position to like, you know, make YouTube videos about it. Like not that I want to either,
Oh
but
yeah.
like, because I'm constantly just kind of learning and grinding and, focusing on my career. So, but I'd say like just, if I had to give it like some advice to myself at like 18, 19, 20, 21, I'd say just, kind of, chill out and don't, another thing like especially young people do, they tend to like compare themselves to like I remember like as I got older, I would compare myself to certain people who made it by, you know, that age. I remember like before I turned 28, I believe like Kanye, I mean he was a producer, like everyone within the industry, they knew at the time he was like a very talented producer and beat maker, but I believe he was like 28 when he like began to blow up as an artist himself. And when I was about to turn 28, I would like this is just like an example of one of many comparisons I would make. But when he was 28, when I was turning 28, I would compare myself to him in the sense that, oh shit, you know, Kanye, he made it big when he was 28. Shit, I need to get my shit together. Oh, fucking fucking Biggie, he was 21 when his first album dropped and he blew it. Like I would make those kind of comparisons, and I'm not the only one who did or still, you know, does this. So I'd say like try not to compare yourselves to other, you know, people, like, you
Oh yeah.
know, because it only hinders your growth and motivation to some extent. Because if you don't make it within a certain age range and you compare yourself to like other, you know, people who made it big at that certain age, you kind of start to become demotivated, I guess. And you know, it's just not worth it. Just, you know, take your time and you know, stay grinding, I guess.
And
There's
that was
no
going
other
to
way to really put
be
it.
my yeah. And that was going to be my next question for you before we wrap is what is the next chapter in your life? Because you've touched on, someone told me that same exact thing, which is stop comparing yourself to other people. And he just came at Isla Yankee. He told me that. He says, you're worried about the wrong thing.
Yeah,
People make comparisons to other people.
yeah,
And it's just like, I want to have my own identity. So when someone
yeah.
came on the show, they asked me, what is going to be different that is going to set you aside from other platform hosts? And I said, originality.
Right.
Everybody should have their own personality, their own sense of style, their own delivery with doing things. I want to be remembered for my delivery and doing interviews, and more so importantly, making sure that I execute it because I'm a perfectionist. And a lot of us artists, we are
Me too.
perfectionists. We want everything to be perfect.
Yep.
And that is one thing I always want to be remembered for is my hard work and dedication that I've brought to the cause, to the entertainment business, may it be the fashion world, may it be to anything. I want my voice to be recognized. So that's what I told that person when they came on my platform and they asked me, what is going to be different from what sets you aside from other platform hosts? And I said, originality. Everybody has their own thing.
Oh
Everybody is
yeah.
doing their own thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to point out like that Wonder Kid Buster guy. He's a friend of mine. He's just fucking around. He's just, you know, busting my balls. So he's not trying to hate or nothing. He's just being an idiot. So I just want to point that out before he gets blocked or banned. So just ignore him. But yeah, absolutely. I feel like, especially like these days with social media, you're constantly told like, oh shit, you need to follow the trends because the algorithm and blah blah blah. But like I feel like, yeah, to a degree, yes, but at the same time, as you said, you still need to be original and
Oh
stand
yeah.
and, you know, stand out from the rest of the pack. Because I feel like, and this like in a way I can like kind of tie it within music too. And this is not a knock on nobody at all, but I feel like the other day I was in the gym and I was just having some random hip hop playlist on my Spotify. Just, you know, I shuffled it, and I was playing, and like I didn't. These are like two songs I hadn't heard before. Um, I listened to one song, and then when the next song played, I thought it was the same artist. They were two completely different artists, and I feel like there's been a trend within hip hop and maybe R&B to an extent, where like they're told, well, you need to sound like this because this is what the algorithm favors. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, with that being said, maybe in the beginning, to an extent, some people will do it to kind of get a foot in the door, as far as like the algorithm favoring them so they can build up their followers. But like when they've surpassed that, I feel like, you know, you can try and experiment. But like all in all, like you want to stand out from the rest of the pack. Also because those who do follow trends and they don't evolve, and this is, again, it's not a dig at nobody, but those certain people, they tend to kind of like, I hate this term, but I'm gonna use it anyway. They tend to fall off, um, because they follow this trend, but like all trends, they live a short life.
Yes.
So Yeah, I completely agree with you as far as that goes. And just, you know, be yourself, regardless of, you know, because I feel like these days, if you try to be yourself, you you get hate for it, like in the comment section. Not you in particular, but just generally speaking, if you don't stand out from the crowd, I cannot tell you how many times. Not, I mean, it comes with the territory, you know,
Oh
hate
yeah.
comments and shit. People telling me I'm whack and like, but like I've been told by some random people in the comments, like they um actually yeah, so I've been told in the comments once in a while, oh shit, your voice is not made for rap. Um I like I just kind of, you know, brush it off. But this one particular time, and the video might still, I mean, yeah, I think because I posted this video like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
around 2022 ish. There was this one guy, because I don't respond to like the hate comments. I just ignore them. Like it's a waste of time and energy. They only want attention. But there was this one guy who made a comment on one of my videos of, you know, me just rapping one of my verses. He was like, you know, it's not for me. Your voice doesn't really do it for me. And then I just politely, because, you know, he wasn't trying to be a dick or nothing. So I felt like, okay, let me respond. I was like, thanks for listening, first and foremost. I appreciate you listening, blah, blah, blah. And then I touched like on the subject of my voice and I said, because I feel like there's no, you know, gray area. There's either people who really like my voice and people who don't like it as much. And then I said to him, um, the way my voice is, you know, when people hear my voice, they know it's me. You know, when people hear like certain voices, like Ice Spice is a good example, and not to make that
Oh yeah.
comparison, but like when I hear her, one of her songs in the club, not that I'm in the club too often these days, I know who it is instantly. um and I feel like it's the same way with me. And then I explained that to him. And then I was like, it's cool. I mean, you don't have to like my voice, but my voice is what makes me stand out from a lot of people who, no disrespect to them, a lot of people, they just kind of sound alike vocally. Like a lot of voices, they sound the same, especially in rap music. Um, so, you know, I kind of, yeah. Does that make sense?
Got you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing, this is my thing right here.
Oh, shout out my
It's
boy
okay.
Hung, real
Go ahead.
quick.
I'm
Shout
sorry.
out my boy Hung. No, I just want to make a shout out to my boy Hung. I've known him since childhood. I used to live in England for 8 years, so me and him we went to school together. So shout out Hung. It's been a while.
And this is my thing right here. Everybody should have their own identity. It's okay to be compared to someone, but you have to find your own way,
Oh
or
yeah,
use that person as a reference.
right.
Like there's so many artists out that are out here right now finding their own voice, their own sound. Everybody, it's like when you walk into an ice cream shop, you're going to have different flavors of ice cream. So many.
Yeah,
Everybody has their flavor. Ice Spice's flavor is going to be different. Sweetie's flavor is going to be different. Meg's flavor is going to be different. Lotto's flavor is going to be different. And Scarlett, what's her name? Asian doll is another one.
yeah,
Every ice cream flavor is different. Tupac's flavor is different than Biggie's flavor.
yeah.
Snoop Dogg's flavor is different than Method Man's flavor.
Right.
Everybody has their own identity. And today we're remembering her legacy, but she was also one for being your authentic self, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin.
Oh
She
yeah,
had her
no
own
doubt.
voice, incomparable,
Yeah.
and nobody can compare to that. But the closest voice that I know that sounds closer to Aretha Franklin would have to be Jennifer Hudson. But
I never
Jennifer
thought
has
of
her
that, but
own,
like
yeah,
I
her own
actually agree. Yeah.
identity, and
Oh yeah. I never thought of that
she
before. Yeah,
every artist has their own thing. Like
absolutely.
people make like one of my guests that is supposed to be coming on the show. His name is Phil Loft, an independent artist, and I call him the male version of Sade. You guys know Sade,
Oh yeah,
smooth
yeah, yeah,
operator.
yeah.
He definitely, Michael. When I tell you, their voices are mirror. mirroring each
Like
other.
when this interview is done, can you send me a link to your
Yes,
Spotify?
I definitely will. He did one of her covers.
Okay, cool.
Is It a Crime? And I'll send that one to you.
Appreciate
And
it.
he's coming on the show this month, you guys, so make sure you guys stay tuned. But Phil is the male version of Sade, and when I tell you guys, he sounds just like her. Soft
Right.
Sade has such a very relaxing. I can't describe her voice, but
Soothing.
she had mystery. Yeah, very
Yeah.
soothing, very mysterious. Like you want to know, who is this? Who is she? And
Yeah.
when you watched her videos, you got a glimpse of her and who she is. It's just Tim's is another one who threw me for a loop. I thought it was a guy singing, but it was a woman, and her voice is very different.
Right.
It's distinction. You
Yeah.
listen to the sound, you listen to their music, you listen to their message. Every artist has a message, and that's what I was discussing yesterday with Vontae. I said
Yeah.
that every artist has a job, and that job is to tell the people's story.
Yeah.
So one person's story might inspire the next person, and the next person, as I mentioned, again, my girl Mary J. Blige gave us this amazing masterpiece, My Life.
Yeah.
You can feel everything that she's saying in every one of her projects, and it resonates with us in any sort of way. So that
Yeah.
means every artist has something that we can relate to when we put on their music. You
Yeah.
could put on who's another rapper that I like that's uh, similar to Tupac, I would say, in a way, but has their own thing, very socially construct. Now I say,
Yeah.
I might say Common is one of my favorite rappers.
Oh, yeah.
Common, and then
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar is another one too. They
Yeah.
they make you think. Their words make you think, and go through your dictionary because their vocabulary is
Yeah.
just
Using
crazy.
big words.
Especially Kendrick,
Yeah.
you'd be like, "What does this word mean? What is
Yeah.
this?" And you'll go and look it up. So I mean, they give you things that make you think.
Yeah.
Another artist would be Erica Badu.
Right.
Erica Badu,
Right.
how she uses all of these analogies,
Let
like
me ask you,
apple
like,
juice.
do you feel like the whole storytelling aspect of things, generally speaking, like as far as mainstream music goes, do you feel like that's kind of missing these days?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. We're now in a whole new generation. We're both in our 30s. We're both 30 years old.
Yeah.
So back in the day in the 90s, if someone gave a message, it would go right over your head. Whereas
Right.
now it's just outright in your face. They're
Yeah.
they're pulling it out of
Oh,
your
you talk
face and
about
you're
like
seeing. Yeah.
the
As far
sexual
as the
stuff.
sexuality
Yeah.
aspect, as far as the romance
Oh,
aspect, as
yeah.
far as their messaging on whatever it might be, the climate that we're in,
Right.
racism, whatever it may be, it's in your face.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, it was more so you couldn't even see it. It was
Yeah.
sort of like a
Like,
tongue in cheek,
the grown
sort of like,
people understood
yeah,
it. The kids didn't understand it. They just thought it was like an
absolutely.
innocent love song.
And yeah, and I've mentioned
Yeah.
Michael Jackson yesterday, the king of pop. Michael
Yep.
Jackson had a song that was very controversial. The video was very controversial. It was "They Don't Really
Which
Care
one?
About Us." They don't
Oh,
really
right,
care
right,
about us.
right.
He
Yeah,
shot
of
in
course.
prison.
Yeah.
Yes, that one was a little controversial, and they had to do two separate versions because one was originally shot in a prison, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it touched on social issues, and
Right.
the way to get your message through the people is to
Yeah.
have something in there. You have to have that one little thing in there in your song or in your music that will make people like, I need to
Yeah.
think about this.
Yeah.
Or you could have known someone who's been through a similar situation. So it's important that the artist, and Nina Simone said this. She said, the artist's job is to reflect the times.
Mm.
So that means as an artist, we have a duty to tell people's story.
Right.
As I mentioned with Mary J. Blige, when I put on that album, the My Life album, I feel and I see everything that she's envisioning or talking about.
Right.
And that's what I feel. I feel pain sometimes. I feel depression
Yeah.
sometimes. And listening to that album has gotten me through dark times. If not that album, then the Miseducation by Lauryn Hill album. Every artist has their own niche.
Right.
And that's what should make every artist their own individual being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like it's important to kind of focus on a niche and then take things from there. Um, Not that it's the wrong approach to just go, oh, I should try and make a club hit for the sake of reaching everyone. Like if you want to make club music, because I make music based on how I feel at that very
Yes,
moment
that's how it
when
should
I
be.
write like stuff. Whether it be recently, there's been a lot of heartbreak shit, and and then at times it's that chick over there, she looks good type of songs, and then the songs where I'm angry, blah blah blah. I haven't been making those recently because I don't feel angry, but I have at one point, so I feel like the whole, you know, focus on a niche, but don't pigeonhole yourself either, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So
Because people get tired of, the audience will get tired of hearing the
right,
same thing. And I'm going to give
absolutely,
another great, I've mentioned so many great artists from Mary to Lauren to Erica to Tupac, all of them.
yeah,
Janet Jackson.
yeah,
Every album that Janet has came out with consecutively,
yeah,
you've seen her develop, whether it might be Rhythm Nation, whether it might be Control, whether it might be the Velvet Rope album. You
right.
see a different phase of her. And an artist is supposed to go through different phases. Like you
Evolution,
said, with your music, you're supposed to see them evolve, and their
right,
sound is going to be different. Another one of my favorites is Jody Watley. I'm a big Jody
yeah,
Watley fan. And I love how she went from Shalimar to went on to doing her own thing. And in her own thing, every album from Affairs of the Heart to what's the other album that she's done? Everlasting,
right,
which is a single she just recently released. Every album or single that she's put out has been
yeah,
different from the last. It's not supposed to stay the same. And then
evolution,
we see her looks change.
right.
Yeah, the same for Michael Jackson. Another one, her birthday is today, Madonna. The most
Oh, that's today.
controversial. Madonna's birthday is
How old
today, and
is she?
every album that she put out, when she first came out, it was what True Blue. It was very bubblegum pop,
Right,
and then she started tapping into this more melodic R&B type feel, and then she goes back to pop, and she'll add a little rock and roll to it. So we see all of these things with every album that she's came out with, whether it
absolutely,
might be the erotica album,
yeah.
and then what's another album that she did?
Oh shit,
Oh,
I don't know, but like
had
evolution is
so many.
extremely important,
Um,
yeah, because
Material
I feel like
Girl, the Material Girl era. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like if you don't evolve, it's kind of like if you're being fed, I don't know, shit, you're
The
being
same
fed
thing
like
over
vanilla
and over
ice
and
cream
over.
every day, and you eventually will get tired of eating vanilla ice cream every single day. Or if like this might be like a weird, comparison, but if you're not used to drinking coffee in the beginning, you get, the kick, it kicks like the caffeine kicks in a lot quicker. And then the more you start to drink coffee or caffeine, generally speaking, you don't get the kick as quick or as hard as you did in the beginning. So you need to, but yeah, you need to evolve, because I feel like those who don't evolve, like they will quote unquote, fall off, I guess, because people will, they'll just get bored of you, I guess. Yeah. Oh, by the way, what did you think of the powerful video? I believe I sent you the link because I promised like there would be a video for it back in 2021, and then I got it done in like 2023. Yeah, 2023, released it this year, and then yeah, so I kept my word.
I
Yeah,
remember you telling me that, and I love the video. I went back and I've watched some of your covers, and you've covered so many artists, and you've done shot your videos. So again, Michael, you again, it's about range because people don't want to see the same thing over and over again, and that's just like with me being in the fashion industry. Because as you stated, trends change.
yeah,
And I always try to make sure that, as you've mentioned with Prince, Prince was ahead of the curve as it pertains to what we're talking about right
yeah,
now, which is independent artists having their own outlet and creative control. Prince was on it. And then he went and he started his own label. And guess who was on it? Shaka Khan and so many
yeah.
others.
And he did it before social media too, so
Oh, yeah.
kudos to Prince. Yeah,
We're now in the time where it's about streams, whereas back in the day, album sales, you got to go and look at the chart. You had to look through that big billboard book to see where your album was placed, at what number, or your single was placed at what number,
right.
or wait till the record execs get a hold of that copy of Billboard. So I mean, we've come a long way
Yeah,
from
no
the
doubt.
cassettes and the CDs. And I mean, even though people still buy albums, I mean, we're now in a generation where people collect
Yeah.
vinyls.
I
So,
believe some do
yeah,
collect cassette tapes too. And I've heard that CDs are kind of, well, not kind of, they're making a comeback because
oh, yeah,
people, they buy CDs and they're buying them again, even if it's not, because I plan on selling CDs. And a lot of people these days who love music, even though a lot of them, they don't have CD players, they buy them just like a to support the artist, but also because they see it as like, the same way. What's an example I can use? The same way a kid back in the day would collect Pokemon cards, they would collect Pokemon cards, they would collect CDs to say, look, I own, like, because there's nothing like owning a physical, CD, even though streaming is as big as it is these days. I
yes.
mean, owning like a CD and, the smell of it, it's just a whole nother thing. Uh,
And the
it's like,
album jacket, you're flipping through the pages of the
yeah,
album jacket and seeing all of these things.
yeah,
But like you said, it's streams, it is pre-order. It's times have definitely changed from the
absolutely,
90s.
absolutely. I mean, a lot of people, it's no secret that, Spotify in particular, streaming doesn't pay as well. But on the flip side, there's a pro to every con, and the pro of it is, obviously it's given a platform to artists who probably wouldn't have even sniffed, you know, that, level of exposure 20 plus years ago. So there's that. And then, from there, you can try and build a fan base and try and build a business off of it. Because, making a living off of base based of what I've been told by some people, making a living off of streaming is not impossible. I mean, it's very hard because it pays peanuts, but it's not impossible to make a living off of it. That said, it probably, for me, it's not like I wouldn't put all my eggs in that one basket because it will take, I don't know how long for me to kind of, break even. Because I have thousands of streams. Like when we first met, I wasn't like getting a lot of streams, but then as I got better at marketing, I got more and more streams, which is great. At the same time, I was like, when I saw my first, real check, I'm not gonna say what the number is, but I was like, is that it? I was in my head, even though I knew streaming kind of pays shit. I thought in my head I'd at least get like $1,000. Like I was just being naive.
Right.
Wasn't even close. I'll just put it that way. It was oh well, maybe I will. There was one song in the beginning, because I've told the story before. There was one song I did called Million, which is still out. It was the first song that got like 20,000 plays, which is the most I've got streaming wise on Spotify. It features, well, it doesn't just feature, it's a song I did with one of my friends who raps in Danish, a very talented producer. Shout out Convex Music. And he raps too. We reached and we split like the royalty split was 50-50 between him and I. It reached like 20,000 streams.
Wow.
I get like my check is like at least like $20-$25 I got. And this was like, I thought in my head I get at least 500. But so it's just to say it was great getting, it's great getting all those streams because it reaches a wide audience and it puts me in front of people who I would never have gotten in front of if I was like around old enough to be in the industry in the 90s or the 2000s, with the exception of being signed. But independently, it would have been close to impossible. So it's a pro that it put me in front of a lot of people, and I made some fans here or there, here and there. But at the same time, I found out quick, like this is probably just for me. I'm only speaking for myself, so I'm not saying to other artists don't go this route. But for me, I, I'm probably not gonna be going the whole streaming is my main source of income route full on because it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't like I've put money into marketing like Facebook ads to get these streams and reach the right people. And I don't regret it one bit, but like for what I put in, I didn't feel like it was worth it as far as what I would make back because I'll get the money back, but because they pay so slow and they pay so little, like I'll probably break even like way, way, way in the future. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm still gonna go the whole direct to consumer. That's my number one priority. And then streaming is like my distant priority number two. Because I'm not gonna be one of those people who are like, fuck streaming. I'm gonna leave streaming because
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's no some people are doing it, but like out of principle. But for me, there's no reason for it because I can still reach a big audience. It's just not gonna be like one of the ideas I have is to like um make like a maybe it's going to be a Patreon or maybe it's going to be on my website where I have like a subscription, kind of thing going on where I have people like my those fans who have like subscribed to my mailing list. They subscribe to my website and then they get whatever content. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do this yet, but it's something I'm working on. They're going to like get all this kind of content, whether it be music before it drops on streaming, so it's like blah blah blah. Like I'm gonna have like that be my number one priority probably, and then eventually some of those songs will sporadically make their way onto streaming. So I'm kind of thinking out loud right now, but it's an idea I've had like for some time. But I feel like my mailing list needs to be a wee bit bigger before I kind of execute. But I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, and it'll all fall in line. It'll all fall in line
Absolutely.
because every artist that has done anything independently has had to start off somewhere and build that fan base up. Because I remember I got hacked when I had my first
Oh shit.
page, and I had to start all over. So this is my starting over right here. But good thing that did happen because it showed me the people who was truly supporting and there. And some of those people that were there with me when my page got hacked are still with me now.
God bless.
So you see who's there supporting you and backing you 100%.
Right.
And I see a change. I see more growth. I see progression and increase where people are interacting more. Whereas before they were just like they were scared, they were reluctant. But now they've really opened up. They've really voiced their opinions. And I've listened and they started supporting the platform even more.
That's
So
great.
there was a good that came out of that. So I
Yeah.
remember because I called my brother K2 because I was like, I can't get back in. I can't get back in my page. And I was devastated. I had 3,000 followers on my first page. And now I
Oh,
have 1,000. But I guess some people have truly shown me who they were, and those people are no longer with me.
right.
And I'm thankful that that has happened because it's now allowed me to regroup and rebirth myself and my brand as well. So I know where to start from.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that happened, and I'm thankful to be where I'm
Blessing
at right now.
in
The
disguise.
platform, yes, it's
Yeah.
always good that comes out of the darkness. It is always good that comes out of the
Absolutely.
darkness, and that's the way I believe it and see
Yeah.
it. So when you put it out there, it will happen, and it's happened for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it still sucks you got hacked. I know what that feels like, but as you said, blessing in disguise and you found out who were, you know, your real supporters and that's yeah. So yeah. It was great catching up with you again.
You
Yeah.
too. And before we close out, Fashion Dolls, I'm going to give you guys the final thought of the day, which ties into everything that me and Michael was saying throughout this whole conversation, which is on building your success. And today's quote comes from our amazing former First Lady, Michelle Obama. She says this: success is only meaningful and enjoyable if it feels like your own. And in order to build your success, it starts with you. You have to start from the ground up. And I had to start from the ground up, as I just told my story about my page being hacked before and having to start over. Sometimes you have to start over. And believe me, the rebirthing process, starting over for me is like a rebirthing process because you're reborn again, you're re-emerging yourself, you're changing for the better, you're wanting to work on things and see things in a different light. And you're just like, wow.
Right.
And welcome new opinions. Be willing to open constructive criticism as well as myself. And the constructive criticism that people have given to me, I have taken along. People have made suggestions, and I have took those suggestions, and look where I'm at now. Even back stronger than ever because I took those opinions and I valued them. So, in order for anybody who wants to be an independent artist, you have to be willing to also listen to sometimes your audience because the audience can sometimes make suggestions and they
Oh
can be
yeah.
helpful to you for the long run as well too. So success begins with you, and you are your best owner, you are your best CEO, you are your best vision creator, you are everything and then some. If you are doing it by yourself, because see, I operate Style by Stevie by myself. Post the clips and the interviews, all of that I do. I don't have a team behind me other than my beauty contributor, Melanie, and
Right.
then the people that mentor me and guide me, as well as my mentor, Miss Melody, who's really, really been a huge influence and help along the way as well, too, as well as my brother K Tooks, who's been doing this a little bit longer than I have, because I started right after high school.
Oh,
Well, I was wet
so
behind
he's
the
kind of like
ears.
your
I didn't know
mentor.
what. Yeah. My
Okay.
brother K Tooks and Miss Melody, they have really been pivotal into help. And Alan Yankee and my brother Sky and so many,
Right.
and Tony, and so many, I could name them all. But I have a whole team behind me who's helping me and encouraging me and giving me tips on, hey, maybe you should do this and do this. And that's how my little segments here on the platform have came to be from just from those suggestions from people. So you have to be willing to accept constructive criticism. And
Absolutely.
back to Michael's point of when he said someone commented under your picture, your video of your music, you're not going to be everybody's cup of
No.
tea. You're not going to
No.
be everybody's
No.
cup of tea. Just like I'm not everybody's cup of tea because I've decided to get back into politics and become more political about what's going on in the world. I just want
Yeah.
people to be aware of what's at stake here. So make sure you
Absolutely.
guys are following your dreams, following your passions. And again, remember, success is only meaningful when you enjoy it. And that's the main key seed
Absolutely.
and this quote that Michelle Obama just posted. So,
Yeah.
Michael, what are your final thoughts? Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave with your fans or words of encouragement? And where can everyone follow you? So great catching up.
Right. Likewise. Likewise. Yeah. So people can follow me at Michael Finn. I'm pretty much everywhere. Um, here, here meaning IG, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, at Michael Finn. And as far as like, I don't. Yeah. The only thing I can really say is just believe in yourself, I guess. And
Absolutely.
you know, yeah, it's kind of hard to like kind of follow up what you said because you kind of summed it up pretty well. But I'd say just believe in yourself and be able to take constructive criticism. And as I said at the top of the interview, just the whole age thing for like
Oh, yeah.
artists in
Age is,
particular. Don't
yes.
worry about the whole age thing. Just take your time, but stay consistent. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. Yeah.
And to add on to what Michael just said, what he touched on was ageism, and
Right.
I've touched on that, I'm sure, in the past.
Especially in
It's
hip
never
hop.
too late for anybody to follow their dreams. So who are you to tell someone that they're too old to do something when this is their passion and their dream? And if you had your own passion and your dream, you would be doing it at any age. As I've mentioned in one of my shows this week, um, a gentleman went back to college at what, 80? Went back to
Uh
college at 80 years old
yeah, I
as a
think so.
student.
I think I've heard of this
Yeah,
story like yeah, at like 80 years old. It's funny
it's
because
never too
I
late.
saw like just the other day, this was actually yesterday, this just popped in my head.
Yeah,
Like I saw some dude, he was like 53 years old. He just like released his first song. Like he's 53, so it's like there's no excuse. There's no I mean, obviously if you're like an athlete or a football player or a basketball player, maybe your chances of like getting to the NBA or NFL in your 50s are very, 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 very slim. But like as far as
Yes,
like music goes, whether it be music, fashion, whatever, as long as you're not like it doesn't require you having to be like super like physical or take any damage to the brain or the body, then you can go at it at any age. You can begin at any age. So yeah, don't let the ageism, you know, because I feel like ageism, especially these days, you see it with younger generations these days. Like they, I feel like ageism is an all-time high. I could be wrong. You could disagree with me, but like I feel like it's
it
at an
is.
all-time high right
Yes,
now than what it was in previous years. I don't know why that is, but like you just kind of need to ignore it and brush it off and keep it moving. You know,
absolutely. I
yeah,
tell people this all the time: live life through fire. It is never too old to follow your dreams and go after what your heart's desires are.
absolutely, absolutely. Let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely. I'd love to
Yeah.
have you back, and I
Oh, and
have
remember, like
much
the
to say.
link. Remember to send the link, because I tend to forget. I've forgotten what like the artist his name is, but like send me the link because I'd love to check it out.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will forward that over to you right now.
Thank you
Fashion
so
Dolls, in the
much.
meantime, between time, make sure you guys go and follow Michael and check out his music. Please go and subscribe to his channel if you have not. And Style by Stevie, make sure you guys go and subscribe to our channel. This is interview 661, so we are on the road to
Wow,
700 shows. Thank you guys so much for your immense support, supporting, and commenting and checking in, whether it's to see the styles or the guests. Thank you guys so much for your love and unconditional support. We are going to fight this fight. It's going to be a long journey for us all, but we are going to get there to 700 shows. So just like we did
absolutely.
that 600, it's going to happen 700. So thank you guys for supporting the journey. Next week we have Sean Samuels joining me. So make sure you guys tune in. I love you all, and also the DNC begins next week. So make sure you guys stay tuned in and up to date to everything, and I'll have you covered here. So, Michael, as always, a pleasure chatting with you.
Likewise, Miss Stevie. Talk to you soon. All right.
You too. Take care.
All right. Hashtag bless.